Into the Big Show's Good Morning Doctor, brought to you by Parkway Medicentre. We've got you covered. Visit parkwaymedicentre.com.sg today to find out more about our one-stop centre for all your healthcare needs.
Wake up in the morning.
It's the way Singapore wakes up.
Wake up,
Glenn, Angel, and the Flying Dutchman.
wake up in the morning feeling like
Kiss 92's Big Show.
Good morning, Singapore. Welcome to Good Morning Doctor. Today we welcome back Dr. Joseph Toh, dermatologist from Parkway Medicentre. Good morning, Dr. Toh.
Good morning.
So today we're going to be talking about a lot of things. We're going to be talking about skin cancer. We're going to talk about sun exposure. Angel has sent us a question about pigmentation problems. So we're going to have to talk about quite a few things this morning.
That's right. So Angel has a pigmentation problem.
She does.
Okay.
She does.
We'll ask Dr. Toh her question later.
Later. Yeah,
Okay.
Later.
But first and foremost, I just want to say that I think it's very, very, important that we take care of our skin because it is the largest organ, so to speak. Not organ.
Yeah.
Largest. Yeah.
It is the largest organ.
Right,
It
in
is
our body.
the largest organ.
Right.
Yeah.
And many people are exposed to UV rays without knowing the dangers and how harmful it can be if they don't protect themselves. Even if it's just the face,
True.
on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What can happen? Worst case scenario, Dr. Toh.
So UV radiation can cause issues with obviously tanning as well as sunburn. But when there's prolonged sun exposure, you do get what we call DNA damage to the skin, and that can cause issues with skin cancers, be it non-melanoma skin cancer or melanoma. It can also lead to a loss of collagen that promotes development of wrinkles and obviously skin aging. So it's important that we do take care of our skin, as you said. So do put on your sunscreen.
What do you have to say to people who have been exposed to the sun for many, many years and who feel that perhaps maybe they are more invincible now than before?
It's never too late to stop.
Thinking that way.
It's never too late to try to start to take care of your skin, and I think that as soon as you do become more aware of the damage caused by UV exposure and sun and start taking care of your skin, apply your sunscreen, I think things will eventually improve.
Okay, let's talk about this sunscreen. You go out and you buy sunscreen products, right? And they have this SPF rating.
Yeah.
Right? You have 25, you have 30, you have
50.
50, you have... How much is enough?
Generally, I would advise patients to use a sunscreen that's at least SPF 30 or 50. I mean, right now there's really a lot of commercially available sunscreen that is SPF 50. So if you have access to that, and then getting 50 would probably be a good idea. So SPF it stands for sun protection factor. So it reflects essentially the time needed for you to develop a sunburn, or if you are using it correctly and adequately compared to not using it. So if you are using an SPF 30, it will take about 30 times longer before you develop a sunburn compared to when you're not wearing any sunscreen.
Oh,
Right, that's what it is.
Yeah, so SPF 30 will block out about 97% of UVB rays, and SPF 50 will block out about 98% of UVB. So, but then if you're using an SPF 50, you take 50 times longer to develop a sunburn. So if you have access to that, then go for that.
What about people who want to go out there? Or I'll ask this question when we come back.
all right. Here's Ji Hyo with "Killing Me Good" on Kiss 92.
Yeah.
I mean, today it's quite good. A lot of people want to be fair. They want that pale look, which is why I am so incredibly fashionable these
There
days.
you go. Yeah.
But there are still people who want to go out there and get that tan. How do they do that safely?
I think that if you are doing so, you can consider other options such as spray tanning or doing it with sunscreen. But I think in general, just excessive exposure to even tanning studios or even going out in the sun is just probably does more damage than good lah. I mean, I think sun exposure definitely has its benefit. It boosts vitamin D production and obviously has a positive mood effect. But I think the negative effects probably outweighs the positive effects. So if you could, I think staying out of the sun's direct glare would probably be better for your skin overall.
So you see, for vanity purposes, tanning studios are okay.
But doctor, even you said just now we shouldn't do this.
I think
too
even
much,
tanning
right?
studios are not so good.
Oh,
so,
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, but it's better than being exposed to UV
I
rays
think
out there.
I think direct sun is probably the worst. So if you could, I mean, spray tanning with just a chemical to give you the brown look would probably be the safest.
Yeah.
But that can also come with its own set of problems. Like for example, you could get contact dermatitis from the color and the dyes. Yeah. So embrace your natural skin color. I think that's
Yeah.
probably the most important.
But you
Absolutely.
see,
Stay out
you
the
look
sun.
so
Be
good,
white.
Dr. To. You look so good. You
Yeah.
are fair and you look very nice. You are glowing.
Sure.
But like FD and Joe Biden, they look the same. It's like, the
I don't
paleness.
compare
So-
myself to Joe Biden.
Okay. Then even Donald Trump before was also very, very fair, right?
Yes.
But obviously he's gone for some,
Yes.
He's done sprays. I'm
Some-
sure.
some-
Probably,
sprays.
It looks a bit orange. Right?
Yeah,
yeah. Orange
Looks
but
like
still
a
looks a
carrot.
bit healthier
Yeah.
than,
Yeah.
than FD and Joe Biden.
But I'm fashionable.
Okay, let's get serious now and talk
Okay.
about skin cancer.
Sure.
Okay. Skin cancer, melanoma,
Yeah.
same thing.
Skin cancer is the umbrella term. So skin cancer includes things like basal cell carcinoma, which is the most common type of skin cancer, at least in Singapore. It also includes things like squamous cell carcinoma and of course melanoma. Melanoma usually gets a bit more attention because it can be very, very invasive and can be associated with a high mortality as well. There's also other forms of skin cancer because our skin comprises of many different components. It includes red blood cells, white blood cells, connective tissue. So you can also have skin cancers of those origins. So for example, a red blood cell skin cancer would be what we call angiosarcoma, etc., etc. So there are many different types of skin cancer, but the most common would be those three that we mentioned.
So you said that there are skin cancers that can actually kill you.
Yeah, definitely. There are types of skin cancer that are more invasive. So, for example, melanoma, sometimes they do have a propensity to spread to your lymph nodes and to the elsewhere of the body. So, it is important to, be careful about new moles that you're developing as you age, especially if you are, originally fair and has a strong ability to tan. And if any of these new moles are changing, to go see a derm to get that checked out. The last thing you want is to have one of these new moles mistaken as a regular mole and, not pay attention to them and leave them to have time to develop into something more sinister.
Singapore is an interesting country. Look at that. Don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not trying to be funny. We are a country of colors. Different shades of people.
Yeah.
Who are the most susceptible?
Fairer skin type individuals are more susceptible to skin cancers. So, that is consistent around the world. So, countries where populations tend to have a darker skin type, they usually have a lower reported skin cancer incidence. So, for example, countries like India and Brazil, worldwide, they do have a lower skin cancer prevalence rate.
We've got a question on our Facebook page from Eddie Tan, which was one that I was actually going to ask myself. What are the symptoms for skin cancer, and when does one when does one go get it checked? So what does skin cancer look like?
Yeah.
How do I know?
So skin cancers have many different variable presentation and appearance. So let's start with a more common kind of skin cancer, which is in Singapore what we call the basal cell carcinoma. So basal cell carcinoma in the local population tends to be what we call a pigmented nodule. It can appear as a pearly-like nodule on the sun-exposed areas. So typically we see it on the face, the nose, the cheeks, sometimes even in the ears, because that's where we often forget to put our sunscreen. In white patients, basal cell carcinoma can be non-pigmented, so it can appear as a pink nodule. So sometimes all these nodules, obviously if they are a skin cancer, they grow quite they are new, so they usually appear not together when you are young. So if you do have a new nodule that doesn't look usual and is growing, sometimes bleeding, itching a little bit more, get it checked out. Skin cancers tend to be irregular in shape, so they compared to regular moles or skin tags that are benign, they tend to grow in a very haphazard manner, so it can be asymmetrical. The colors within the mole can be very variegated. So if you have got those, then get that checked out. The second more common form of skin cancer in Singapore would be squamous cell carcinoma. So squamous cell carcinomas can be scaly, and that can be rough and more felt than seen. So if you do develop some of these rough spots, get that checked out as well.
Okay, we're going to go back on air, do a traffic update, and then back on the radio.
All right.
Kiss 92 traffic.
Alrighty, we've got Anson Road. This is near the Engor Street junction, an accident there. Look out for that. PIE towards Changi, vehicle broken down before the BKE. KPE towards the ECP, an accident at Tampines Road exit. SLE towards the BKE, a vehicle broken down at Woodlands Avenue 12 entrance. And on the AYE towards the MCE, an accident at Clementi Road exit. Please stay within the speed limit. Have everyone buckled up. Be safe as you drive today.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Doctor. Our guest for this morning is Dr. Joseph Toh, dermatologist from Parkway Medicentre. And for those of you who are thinking about, whether or not you're protecting yourself enough because of the UV rays and all that, and I don't think it's my imagination. Me being a golfer, I feel like the what do you call this climate change is just really getting bad, and I feel like it's hotter out there now than ever before. Do you feel that way as well, Dr. Toh?
I do agree. I hike a lot myself, so every time I do go overseas to hike, I almost always get burns. So yeah, definitely.
Right. And I'm sure you use protection as well.
Yes, physical sunscreens, long sleeve clothing, but still get burned.
What about oral? Because these days, as we were talking about earlier on, people take these antioxidants in order to protect themselves from UV rays. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, so basically for oral supplements, we can divide them into vitamins and non-vitamins. So for vitamins that has some antioxidant effects would be things like vitamin C. Vitamin B3, which is nicotinamide, also can help reduce the damage that UV radiations can cause on the skin. So if you do want to take a supplement that helps with preventing UV damage, then you might want to consider something like a nicotinamide. For the non-vitamins, sometimes at the market now we do have dietary kind of botanical extracts that are sort of marketed as a oral sunscreen. So the one that is probably most well studied and popular would be the polypodium extract. So this extract is actually made from a fern that is found in Central America. So it confers some antioxidative effect as well as some photo protection for patients who consume them.
Okay. If you want to find out more, go and look for Dr. Joseph Toh, at his clinic, and he'll probably be able to recommend the correct supplement, for you. And as I was talking to Dr. Toh earlier on, I never knew it was something that you could take on a daily basis. I would take it like maybe an hour before I play golf or whatever.
That's
I
right.
always feel like, there's still so much more. I was thinking wondering whether I could take it regularly on a daily basis, and according to Dr. To, you can actually do that.
So yeah, oral sunscreen, at least those in the market, can be taken on a regular basis. It's actually taken on a regular basis by patients who are very prone to sunburn. So for example, patients with vitiligo, which is a condition that Michael Jackson had, those patients have the lack of pigment in their skin, and so they are very prone to sunburn. So those patients, they take it every day. I mean, for normal people with no pre-existing pigment problems, we can also take it on a regular basis. But it is important to know that oral sunscreen does not replace topical sunscreen. So the UV protection that oral sunscreen provides will still be insufficient if you are going under the sun in the noontime, for example.
Okay, so I know we've got some questions,
Yeah, we do.
but then I think now is the time to bring up Angel's question, because this is exactly what we just spoke about, right? Like Michael Jackson's condition. What is that? I think
Vitiligo.
Angel has vitiligo.
Well, I don't know whether Angel
No,
has...
no. Everyone is looking at me. No, Angel does not have vitiligo.
I don't think she has vitiligo.
Yeah, I don't think she has vitiligo too.
But what she does
But she
have-
needs to protect herself. If not, she says she gets burned, right? So
well, no, she doesn't get burned. See, Angel, when she goes out in the sun, she gets darkened. She gets pigmentation darkening,
okay.
which is why she's always sheltering herself.
Okay.
So, are there cures? What can she do to lessen this?
See, I think number one is to find out what is the exact condition that Angel might have. One common kind of pigmentary condition that ladies can face would be that of called melasma. So melasma is actually a pigmentation problem that often occurs on the face and is usually worsened with UV exposure. So it presents as a muddy, irregular patch on both the cheeks. It can be very stubborn and among dermatologists, melasma is notorious for being difficult to treat, to lighten. Sometimes we do offer patients topical lightening agents that can help with melasma. Certain oral medications can also help with melasma. Sometimes we also do light-related device, laser therapy, although that is actually quite controversial even among dermatologists, because certain lasers can actually worsen melasma. So be very cautious about doing procedures on patients with melasma.
Angel has described her condition as hyperpigmentation.
Yeah.
And it's so bad that she can't even watch a sunset.
But what do you mean? She's
The
got flawless skin. I mean,
because she looks after it so
some
carefully.
she doesn't really put on a lot of makeup. So I look at her face every day, and it's
which is one way of looking
looks
after your
perfect
skin.
to me.
She does have quite good skin.
She
Yeah.
does.
I
She
think
does.
so.
But that's also because she
Takes care of it well.
She takes care of it well, and she can't go out in the sun, so she's avoiding all those ultraviolet rays and everything else that destroys our skin.
Well, if that's the way to keep her looking as beautiful as she is, then I think let's just keep her
don't know.
out of the sun, please.
Can hyperpigmentation be reversed?
Hyperpigmentation is a description. So hyper means high, and then pigmentation means color. So yes, it can. Sometimes, as I mentioned, lightening agents or even laser therapy or even sometimes procedures like chemical peels can help with superficial pigmentation.
So,
Okay.
Angel, I hope you're listening. We try to answer your questions.
You have no problems, Angel. I'll just buy you a bigger umbrella. I've got many golf umbrellas that will protect you 100%. Well, not 100%, at least 80%. Okay, it's 8:18.
Kiss 92 Time Check brought to you.
Now, how big is a golf umbrella?
Yes, it's huge.
3 people can go under the umbrella.
I like the kind.
I hate golf umbrellas. They're too big.
They are huge. Okay, so earlier on we were talking about skin cancers and all that. Now, Dr. To, what are the treatments available in Singapore to treat skin cancer?
So if it's a early stage pre-malignant kind of a skin cancer, for example, sometimes we can have lesions that are pre-malignant. Just now I was telling FD that there's a condition called actinic keratosis. Sometimes for this kind of superficial and non full-blown kind of skin cancer, we do sometimes treat with cryotherapy, which is essentially liquid nitrogen. So liquid nitrogen is essentially using trying to bring the temperature of the lesion down to negative 196 degrees Celsius to sort of try and induce a local frostbite to make the lesion go away. So it can also be used in superficial basal cell carcinoma sometimes. sometimes we do give topicals for this kind of skin cancers that are superficial. But if a patient has a full-blown skin cancer, excision and removal of the entire lesion with good clearance will probably be still the gold standard. So yeah, sometimes if there is a invasion to elsewhere of the body, or if there's local invasion of the skin cancer, we do also consider chemotherapy or radiation therapy as well.
Wow.
Chemo and radiation for skin cancer. That's quite something.
You sound like you're so surprised that skin cancer can be so dangerous.
No, I know skin cancer can be dangerous. What I didn't... I was always of the impression that skin cancer was skin cancer and it didn't spread to other parts of
there
your
have been
body.
People die of
Yeah.
skin cancer, you know.
Which
Remember,
is a huge surprise for
Hugh
me.
Jackman had skin cancer at one time.
Not
Then
sure.
it was on his face.
Ah.
So he came down to Singapore, and I interviewed him,
Yeah.
and he had
scar.
just undergone a procedure to remove
Well,
the growth on his face.
I have a sister who's a nurse in Australia, and that's one of the big things in Australia because they've got this huge ozone hole over Australia, and skin cancer is a major problem in Australia.
It is, yeah. The prevalence of skin cancer in Australia is almost 3-4 folds of Singapore.
Yeah.
Wow.
3-4 folds. So they
It's
have about,
crazy.
I think, 37 to 40 per 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Compared to Singapore, which is like 12 per 100,000. Yeah.
And they love the sun over there.
They
That's
do.
the thing.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the
they
thing.
love being outdoors, having their picnics,
Yeah.
you know, surfing, just spending the whole day at the beach.
But that is why a lot of them now are really plastering on the sunblock. So with that in mind, two questions have come up. We never want to block the pores of our skin.
Yeah.
So which is better, a cream or a spray?
So there are different types of topical sunscreen, including chemical sunscreen and physical sunscreen. Chemical sunscreen tends to convert the UV radiation into heat, so that confers some protection, whereas physical sunscreen reflects UV rays off your skin. So those contain zinc oxide and titanium oxide. So if you want something that doesn't get absorbed or doesn't cause acne, then you might want to consider a physical sunscreen. But the exchange is that you might get a white cast. So some patients or users of sunscreen may not like the very white appearance of physical sunscreen. Yeah. So another thing to consider is whether you have got allergies to chemical sunscreen, because chemical sunscreens have active compounds that give it its sunscreen properties, and one of it is oxybenzone, and that is also a known allergen and can cause contact dermatitis in people. Another thing to consider is whether you are going out, for example, into like snorkeling and things like that, because now people are eco-friendly.
Yeah.
So chemical sunscreen can leach into corals. So for those kind of situations, you might want to consider physical sunscreen. Forms of sunscreen can be cream, can be sprays, can be sticks, can be cushions as well, like a powder form. So it really depends on your personality and your usage. So for example, in ladies who wear makeup, they may not want to use a cream sunscreen midday, because topical sunscreens needs to be topped up after all. So they may want to consider a stick, which may not smudge their makeup, or a powder form of a sunscreen. But comparing spray and cream sunscreen, I think cream gives a more even protection. Yeah. So to each his own.
And what about reapplying? Let's say, because there are many golfers who are tuned in, right now, who perhaps maybe want some advice. Because when we go out there and play, we're out there for about 4.5 hours at least.
Yeah.
And for me, I put it once before the game, and then I don't reapply. But we should reapply, right?
Yeah, topical sunscreen, especially chemical sunscreens, they don't sit on the skin for long periods of time. So there is a need to reapply, every 2 to 4 hours. Physical sunscreen can also be wiped off or washed off with sweat, as well as friction with clothing. So if you are under the sun for long periods of time, be it hiking or golfing, do consider wearing a UV protective clothes and be under the umbrella, and reapply if you can, or take something oral.
Right. Which means I can't wear my shorts anymore. I have to wear longs, and I have to protect my arms. Try to protect as much of myself as possible, so that there are less areas for me to use the sunblock.
Don't forget your areas that people tend to forget, which is often the hands, because we don't usually apply
Yeah.
sunscreen on the hands, and the ears as well, because skin cancer can occur in the ears. Sometimes the skin cancer can also be found on the scalp.
Okay.
So I mean, wear a cap, wear a hat. Yeah.
I bought a cowboy hat.
Oh, did you?
Yes. I mean, looks quite nice.
Oh, gotta see the picture. Come on.
But yeah, I'll show you later. But I think I need maybe a slightly bigger
brim.
a bucket hat. You know, because a lot of us wear caps.
caps, yeah.
So when you wear the cap, you know, it protects, part of your face in front, but your ears are totally exposed.
Correct.
Yes. Two more questions coming through. What about these patches that we see people wear under their...
Oh yeah, the ladies wear those patches on
Are
their
they
cheeks.
any good?
I think those are better than nothing. So I think if you can cover up as much of your skin as possible, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. So be it patches, mask, or even just a visor.
Right.
As much protection as possible.
But why the patches just on the cheek area?
I think those are areas that they are more concerned about, because they may not want to get something like melasma or sunspots that are very apparent.
Okay, yeah, I feel like, this part here, like,
Yeah.
I feel I have a few sunspots already over here. I actually told my golfing kakis, right, my friends, I said I'm going to get that and put on my face. And they said, you know what, you put it on your face, we are not playing golf with you anymore.
Belinda has asked, she has found water-based sunscreen. Any good?
Water-based sunscreen, meaning things that are more gel-like. I guess those are actually okay. I think everybody has got a different preference for consistencies of topicals, be it lotions, creams, ointments. So find something that you like and use it often. No point buying something that is, something that is well promoted and but you don't like it, or you don't like the consistency and you don't use it. So use something that you like.
I think there isn't something that's perfect out there in terms of sunscreen, right? Because some people feel uncomfortable when it gets a little bit too heavy, it feels oily, they don't like the oily look.
Right.
Some people, they don't want their faces to look, too white either. So it's just a matter of, what you choose and
And that choice...
how important it is for you to protect yourself.
And that choice that Glenn is talking about, I have a question
Okay,
I
hold
want
on,
to
hold on,
ask
hold
the
on.
doctor.
Here we
We'll
go.
do it in
Okay,
a bit.
Garrett, let's go.
Kiss 92 traffic.
Usual delays across the expressways this morning. That's not going to surprise you. Anson Road at the junction of Engor Street, we have an accident there. PIE towards Changi, vehicle broken down before the BKE. KPE towards the ECP, an accident at Tampines Road exit. SLE towards the BKE, vehicle broken down at Woodlands Avenue 12. And on the AYE towards the MCE, an accident at Clementi Road exit. Stay within the speed limit, please. Have everyone buckled up. Be safe as you drive today.
Good morning and welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV, our guest for this morning. And we've been talking to him so much about sun exposure, pigmentation and skin cancers. Is Dr. Joseph Toh, dermatologist from Parkway Medicentre. And I'm so sorry I had to cut you off just now.
It's fine.
We
We've got
have only a
traffic
few
coming.
seconds left. Please continue with your question for Dr. Toh.
So the question here is, we can walk into a pharmacy and we can buy sunscreen. Every time we walk through a cosmetics department of a department store, every brand has sunscreen. Who do I trust? Is it just my choice of what I prefer?
I think that at the end of the day, buy something that is appropriate for your budget. So first of all, second thing is the consistency of the sunscreen, whether it gives a white cast, whether it's a chemical sunscreen or a physical sunscreen, whether it's in a stick form, a cream form, or spray form, or powder form. And also look out for things that are obviously on the label. So for example, whether the sun protection factor SPF is adequate. Nowadays, we also have a second thing that we look out for is the PA, which stands for protection grade factor against UVA, because UV radiation is not just UVB, it's actually also UVA. So PA comes in different scores, so you do have plus, or you could have plus, which is the highest for protection against UVA. So look out for those high SPF and high PA as well.
Could you just tell us the difference once again between UVA and UVB?
So the sun's radiation consists of UVA, B and C, but C is actually absorbed by the ozone, so only A and B comes to the ground. A is something that is able to pass through glass and clouds, and it actually goes into the second layer of the skin.
Wow.
UVA causes tanning, whereas UVB goes to the first layer of the skin and then causes burn, so redness. So 95% of the radiation that reaches Earth is UVA actually, and 5% is UVB. But UVB is actually not permeable to glass, not like UVA. UVA passes through glass. So even if you are, beside the window, you may have less UVB, but you still might have a lot of UVA because UVA passes through glass. So yeah,
it's the most dangerous then.
Both are actually dangerous in their own ways. So UVA reaches the second layer of the skin, causes loss of collagen, leads to aging, wrinkles, can cause DNA damage. UVB can cause redness, burns, and can cause skin cancers.
So when you're outdoors, you are exposed to both UVA and
B.
And this is why some people say, even though you work indoors, make sure you have your sunscreen on.
Yeah.
Because it does cut through
Glass,
windows.
yeah.
Cuts
Yeah.
through windows.
But some people say even in the evenings, let's say, there's still UVA and UVB.
Yeah, but
Even
lesser.
when lesser.
Yeah, compared to noontime. So if you do want to do outdoor exercise, choose it either in the early morning or late afternoon or evening.
Okay, we've got time for one more question, and this has got nothing to do with cancer or anything like that. It comes from Angie. She goes, how about age spots? Are they treatable?
Age spots are treated, are a type of hyperpigmentation, so they definitely are treatable. Certain age spots are flat and certain age spots are raised, so it depends on which type you have. So if it's a flat age spot, sometimes we do apply topicals, creams to lighten them. Sometimes we do lasers to remove the melanin. If it's a raised age spot, we might want to remove them via either cryotherapy or even surgery like a shave excision to remove them entirely.
But sometimes you guys might want to do a biopsy as well.
Yes, any lesions that appear sinister clinically or in a patient who has already had a previous skin cancer, we might want to offer a surgical excision to send it for histological examination to not miss a cancer.
Okay. One other thing.
I thought you said last question.
I know.
No,
No, this just dawned on me.
kidding. Shalini, do we have a bit of time? Okay.
We always look at it, okay, so there's this on my skin, there's this lump, there's this. I go and find out whether I have a skin cancer. Is there any way to get a regular test?
Definitely a doctor's visit, maybe a dermatologist visit, or if you are very worried, especially if you are of a fairer skin type, your yearly skin check would be good. Certain clinics also offer the mole mapping service, which is something that you might want to consider if that clinic offers. Otherwise, if you want to take another way, it would be to take serial photographs yourself, keep it in your iPhone or your own phone, and monitor those lesions.
All right.
Okay.
If you want to look for Dr. Joseph Toh, you can go to where I usually go. It's Parkway Medicentre at Woodley. Okay? All right. One last question for you, Doctor. What is the one thing you wish for Singaporeans to take away from today's interview?
Don't forget your sunscreen and stay out of the sun.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Toh. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Big Show's Good Morning Doctor, brought to you by